My friends, today I want to talk to you about a pivotal moment in your life, a moment that may not look extraordinary on the surface, yet deep within it, God is moving in ways you cannot yet see. This is not just another day. This is a divine season of preparation, a sacred time when heaven begins to align things on your behalf, shifting circumstances, repositioning people, and refining your heart for what's coming. This is not a season of comfort, it's a season of calling. It's the quiet before the revelation, the pruning before the promise, the refining before the release. And if you can slow down enough to listen, not with your ears, but with your spirit, you'll begin to notice the signs, because God never moves without leaving traces of His presence. You see, before a breakthrough, there's always a stirring. Before the blessing, there's always a shaking. Before the rise, there's always a refining. God never wastes a season, not even the one that feels heavy. Maybe right now you're feeling unsettled. Maybe something in your heart feels like it's changing and you can't quite explain why. That's not confusion, that's preparation. It's heaven whispering that something greater is on the horizon. Because when God is about to shift your life, He will first shift you. But before we continue, I want you to do 3 small yet powerful things. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so we can keep spreading faith to more hearts around the world, and leave a comment that says, "I believe in God and I will wait for His timing." That declaration is more than just words, it's a statement of faith. It tells heaven that you're ready, that you trust the process, even when you can't see the outcome. It's your way of saying, "Lord, I am here, I am listening, I am ready." Now let's talk about one of the first and clearest signs that God is preparing you for something greater: discomfort. It's strange how we pray for change, but resist the very process that brings it. God does not bless you while you remain in the same mindset, in the same habits, surrounded by the same limitations. Instead, He begins to stir your spirit. He makes you restless, not to frustrate you, but to awaken you. Maybe the things that used to make you happy no longer satisfy you. Maybe the people who once felt right now feel distant, or perhaps the opportunities that once came easily are suddenly drying up. You might be wondering, why is everything changing? Why does it feel like the ground beneath me is shifting? That, my friends, is the holy tension of transformation. God is removing what's temporary to make room for what's eternal. He's loosening your grip on what's comfortable so you can reach for what's meant for you. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it can feel lonely. But discomfort is not punishment. It's preparation. It's heaven's way of saying, you can't stay here anymore. I'm taking you higher. Sometimes God will allow everything that used to work to stop working. Not because He's against you, but because He refuses to let you settle for less than what He created you for. He will close doors that no longer lead to purpose. He will expose relationships that were built on convenience rather than calling. And He will strip away the things that keep you dependent on anything other than Him. It's a painful process, but necessary. Because before God can elevate you, He has to separate you. And in that moment of separation, the enemy will whisper. He will try to convince you that God has forgotten you, that you've been abandoned, that all your prayers have gone unheard. But hear me, God has not forgotten you. He is closer than ever. He's not punishing you, He's positioning you. He's making space for what's next. And though it may feel like loss, it's actually divine alignment. Don't resist the discomfort. Embrace it, because discomfort is the first signal that heaven is preparing to move. When everything around you feels uncertain, remember that it's not falling apart. It's falling into place. And in this stage, your job is not to fix it, but to trust it. Because what looks like chaos to you is actually strategy in the hands of God. So if you find yourself restless, uncertain, or uncomfortable right now, take a deep breath. You are not being broken, you are being built. You are not being forgotten, you are being prepared. And the very thing that feels like a storm today will one day be the story that proves His faithfulness. This is just the beginning of your transformation, and the signs are already all around you. The question is, will you recognize them? My friends, once God begins to stir your spirit, once the calm you used to know starts to fade, the next thing that comes is resistance. Resistance is not random. It is not a coincidence. It is the signal that something powerful is forming behind the scenes. Before every breakthrough, there is a battle. Before every open door, there is a wall that demands you to push through. And this resistance, though it may frustrate you, is the evidence that what you've been praying for is closer than you think. Sometimes this resistance appears quietly. Plans that once flowed easily suddenly face delay. Conversations that once brought peace now feel tense. People you trusted begin to misunderstand you, and you start to wonder, what am I doing wrong? But hear me, you're not doing something wrong, you're doing something right. because the closer you move toward purpose, the louder the opposition becomes. The enemy does not waste his energy on what poses no threat. He attacks potential. He attacks destiny. He attacks what carries divine promise. You might feel it as invisible pressure. You're trying to do good things, to stay faithful, to keep moving forward, yet it feels like the world is pushing back. Doors you thought were meant to open remain shut. People who said they'd stand by you suddenly walk away. Even your own faith feels tested in the silence. But this is not the end, it's the middle, and the middle is always where faith is forged. When God is preparing to open a great door, the opposition increases not to destroy you, but to strengthen you. He allows the resistance so that when the blessing arrives, you'll have the character to sustain it. He's teaching you endurance, patience, and discernment, qualities that only grow under pressure. It's in the waiting, in the testing, that you learn to depend on Him, not on circumstances. Look back at every story of faith in Scripture. Before the miracle came, there was always a moment of resistance. Before David became king, he faced Goliath. Before Moses led his people to freedom, he stood before Pharaoh. Before Jesus rose in victory, he carried the cross. The resistance wasn't proof that God was absent. It was proof that His plan was in motion. So if you're feeling the weight of opposition today, do not despair. It's not meant to stop you. It's meant to reveal what's inside you. Battles have a way of exposing both weakness and strength, and sometimes God allows the struggle to show you that you're stronger than you thought. He's not testing you to break you. He's testing you to build confidence in His power within you. Think about it. If every door opened easily, if every prayer was answered instantly, you would never know the depth of your faith. You would never know what it means to trust God when nothing makes sense. But when you stand firm in resistance, when you hold on despite fear, when you choose faith over frustration, that's when you grow. That's when heaven takes notice. There's a quiet strength that forms in people who refuse to quit. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, but it's unshakable. And that's what God is building in you right now. He's teaching you to stand even when the wind blows hard, to believe even when the evidence says otherwise, to move even when your legs are trembling. Because the person who learns to stand in resistance becomes unstoppable once the blessing arrives. So don't run from the fight. Don't wish it away. Instead, learn from it. Let it refine your focus. Let it remind you that not every obstacle is a punishment. Some are divine training. And when you start to see resistance as preparation, you'll realize that even the hardest days are shaping you for something far greater. My friends, this is not the season to retreat. This is the season to dig deeper, to pray harder, to believe stronger. Because on the other side of this resistance lies a breakthrough that will make sense of every sleepless night and every silent prayer. Keep your eyes fixed on the promise, not the problem. Because when the pressure rises, it's only because heaven is preparing to release something powerful into your life. And when it comes, you'll understand that every ounce of resistance was worth it. My friends, after resistance comes something even harder to face. Silence. That quiet, endless space where it feels like God has stopped speaking, where your prayers seem to echo back without an answer, where you search for signs and find none. This silence can be more painful than any storm, because at least during the storm, you know something is happening. But in silence, you begin to question everything. Did I make the wrong decision? Did I miss the message? Has God forgotten me? But hear me carefully. Silence is not absence. Silence is strategy. It's the sacred space between the promise and the fulfillment, where God does His deepest work. When heaven seems quiet, it's not because nothing is happening, it's because everything is being prepared. Think of the seed buried beneath the soil. It's dark, silent, hidden. No movement can be seen from the surface, yet under that soil, life is forming. Roots are spreading, structure is taking shape. If you judge that seed by what you could see, you'd assume it was dead. But time reveals what silence was protecting. That's exactly how God works. His silence is not neglect, it's nurture. Maybe you've been praying for a change, waiting for a door to open, asking for a sign, and nothing seems to move. But I promise you, the delay is not denial. The silence is not punishment, it's preparation. Because when God finally speaks, when He finally moves, it won't be small, it will be sudden, and it will make sense of everything you endured. Some of the greatest moments in history were born in silence. Remember those 3 days after the crucifixion. Heaven itself seemed silent. Grief covered the earth. Hope looked lost. But while the world was weeping, resurrection was preparing. What looked like defeat was actually victory forming in secret. And that is how God works. He does his greatest miracles in the quiet places no one can see. So if you're in that season now, if the silence feels unbearable, don't run from it. Lean into it. Learn from it. Silence is an invitation to listen differently. Not with your ears, but with your heart. Because in the quiet, God is refining your hearing. He's teaching you to recognize his voice without noise, without confirmation, without constant reassurance. He's maturing your faith from dependency into trust. Most people don't understand that growth rarely makes sound. Healing doesn't shout. Transformation doesn't announce itself. You just wake up one day and you realize you're stronger, calmer, more grounded. That's what happens when you endure the silence instead of escaping it. You grow in ways you couldn't see while the noise surrounded you. Maybe right now you're asking, why won't God answer me? But maybe the real question is, am I willing to trust him even when he doesn't? Because true faith isn't built when everything is clear. It's built when you keep believing, even in the unknown. Silence tests that kind of faith. It asks you to keep walking when you can't see the road ahead. In these quiet seasons, God is often preparing both you and what you've been praying for. If he gave it to you too early, you might not be ready to hold it. If he answered too soon, you might not value it. But when the timing is right, everything aligns effortlessly. The door opens, the opportunity arrives, the pieces fit together in ways that make you realize why it had to take time. So if it feels like heaven is quiet, don't lose heart. Something is happening beneath the surface. You are being shaped for the very thing you've been asking for. Silence is not the end of your story. It's the chapter where the foundation is built. And when God breaks that silence, it will be with clarity, power, and purpose. Trust the stillness, my friends. Let it do its work. Because one day soon, this quiet season you're in will make sense. And you'll look back and say, that silence wasn't God ignoring me. It was God preparing me. My friends, after the silence comes a different kind of test, the call to let go. This is one of the hardest moments in any season of preparation because it goes against everything human within us. We are creatures of attachment. We hold on to people, to places, to dreams, to versions of ourselves that once made sense. And when God whispers, it's time to release this, something in us resists because letting go feels like loss. It feels like failure. It feels like stepping into the unknown without a map. But listen carefully. When God asks you to let go of something, it's not because he wants to take from you. It's because he wants to make space for something new. Sometimes your hands are too full to receive what's next. Sometimes your heart is too tied to the old to recognize the new thing he's bringing. And that's why he begins to loosen your grip, not to break you, but to free you. It might be a relationship that no longer grows with you, a job that drains your soul, a dream that once inspired you but now feels heavy. Whatever it is, you feel that pull inside. That quiet knowing that it's time to move on, even if it doesn't make sense. And yet, fear whispers, what if I never find something better? But hear this truth. When God calls you to release, he already has something greater waiting on the other side. Think of Abraham standing on the mountain looking at his son, Isaac, the very promise he had waited for. God didn't ask him to let go because he wanted to take Isaac away. He asked him to prove that Abraham trusted the giver more than the gift. And when Abraham lifted the knife, God stopped him because it was never about losing the blessing. It was about proving obedient. That's what letting go does. It purifies your motives. It tests whether your faith is built on outcomes or on God himself. Sometimes the hardest thing to release isn't what's in your hand, it's what's in your heart. An old version of yourself that doesn't fit who you're becoming. Maybe it's the identity you built around what you used to do or the life you thought you'd have by now. Letting go of that image can feel like death, but in truth, it's rebirth. Because the moment you release what's expired, you make room for what's divine. There's a peace that comes only after surrender, a deep, quiet peace that no explanation can give. When you finally stop fighting to control what's leaving, you begin to see that what you called loss was actually protection. Sometimes God removes what you thought you needed to save you from what you couldn't see. He closes a door, not because you're unworthy, but because he knows what's behind it no longer serves your purpose. And yet, in the middle of letting go, there's always grief. Don't rush through it. Don't pretend it doesn't hurt. Grief is part of growth. It's the bridge between who you were and who you're becoming. Allow yourself to feel it, but don't let it anchor you. Remember, endings are not always failures. Sometimes they are instructions. Sometimes they are divine transitions disguised as disappointment. When you let go in faith, you create space for alignment. And soon, things that once felt heavy start to lose their power over you. Conversations that used to trigger pain no longer do. Memories that once held you hostage begin to fade into lessons. You realize that the release wasn't punishment. It was permission. Permission to evolve, permission to breathe again, permission to walk into a future built on truth instead of comfort. My friends, God cannot fill what is already full. If your hands are clinging to the past, how can He place tomorrow into them? If your heart is still bound to what was, how can it make room for what will be? Faith requires space, and space is made through surrender. So today, if there's something in your life that God is asking you to release, trust Him. Don't look back with fear. Don't question what you can't yet see. The same God who asked you to let go is the same one who will provide what comes next. The story doesn't end with what you lose. It continues with what you gain. One day, you will look back on this moment, this painful, uncertain, stretching moment, and realize that it was sacred, that the letting go was not destruction, but preparation. Because every release, every goodbye, every door that closes is leading you to a greater beginning. And when you reach it, you will finally understand why God had to take certain things out of your hands so that He could fill them with something far more beautiful. My friends, after you have faced resistance and learned to release what no longer belongs, something begins to awaken deep within you. A quiet, powerful sense of expectancy. It's not loud, it's not emotional, it's a still knowing, a steady awareness that something is shifting. You can't explain it, you can't point to any visible sign, yet you can feel it. A stirring in your spirit that tells you change is near. This is the phase where faith matures. Not the kind of faith that needs proof or signs, but the kind that breathes in silence and waits with calm confidence. Expectancy is not impatience, it's alignment. It's when your spirit begins to synchronize with what heaven is already preparing. It's that moment between the seed and the harvest, when you can't see growth, but you trust it's happening beneath the surface. Maybe lately you felt it, that quiet anticipation that something is about to unfold. Doors you never thought would open start to move. Opportunities appear in small, unexpected ways. People begin entering your life who carry peace instead of noise. It's as if the air around you has changed, charged with purpose. This is not imagination. This is divine timing, announcing itself softly before it arrives in full force. Expectancy doesn't mean everything suddenly becomes easy. In fact, sometimes, right before the breakthrough, life still feels messy. There are moments of doubt, moments when you wonder if you're making it all up. But listen, the closer you get to the blessing, the quieter God becomes. Not because He's distant, but because He's already spoken. He's waiting for you to walk by what He said, not by what you see. And that's what expectancy does. It transforms waiting into preparation. When you live expectantly, you stop moving in fear and start moving in faith. You no longer wake up wondering if something good will happen. You begin waking up knowing something good is already on its way. This mindset changes everything. You make better decisions. You protect your peace. You stop chasing what isn't aligned because you know what's meant for you will find you. Expectancy turns restlessness into readiness. Remember, God never prepares blessings that find you unprepared. When you feel that tension between what is and what's coming, that's not confusion, that's growth. It means heaven is setting things in motion. Think about a sunrise. Before the first light breaks through, the sky darkens for a moment. Everything gets still, almost breathless, right before it changes. That's what expectancy feels like. It's the final stillness before revelation. In this phase, you'll start noticing confirmation everywhere. Words spoken by strangers will echo things God already whispered to your heart. Verses will leap off the page as if written just for you. Random encounters will feel divinely timed. This is not coincidence. This is alignment revealing itself. And it's your job to stay alert, to listen carefully, to prepare quietly. Because expectancy without preparation is wasted opportunity. And don't mistake expectancy for waiting passively. This is the time to ready yourself spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Clear the clutter from your mind, forgive where you must, release bitterness, nurture gratitude, prepare your heart to receive. The way you prepare reveals what you truly believe. If you believe the blessing is coming, you live like it. You act like someone who knows God keeps his word. And here's something important. Expectancy will isolate you from those who can't see what you see. Some people around you may not understand your peace, your focus, your unshakable calm. They might tell you to be realistic, to lower your hopes, to stop waiting for something you can't prove. Don't let that discourage you. Faith isn't supposed to make sense to those who don't carry your calling. When God plants a promise in your spirit, he gives you the faith to sustain it, not the audience to validate it. So stay grounded in this season. Keep your heart soft, your mind clear, your faith active. Because expectancy is the bridge between promise and fulfillment. And when you walk that bridge with trust, you become magnetic to what's meant for you. And one day, sooner than you imagine, the signs will start to line up. Something you prayed for months ago will suddenly make sense. A door that stayed closed for years will open with ease. And in that moment, you'll realize the expectancy wasn't wasted. It was sacred. It kept your spirit alive when nothing else did. It prepared you to recognize the blessing the moment it arrived. So if you feel it now, that quiet certainty, that invisible shift, don't dismiss it. Lean into it. Let it strengthen you. Because expectancy is not a feeling. It's faith in motion. It's the whisper before the breakthrough, the breath before the promise, the calm before the divine storm that's about to transform your life forever. My friends, once expectancy settles into your heart, once you start to feel that invisible current of something coming, life often enters another mysterious stage, isolation. This one catches most people off guard. You've held on through resistance, survived the silence, released what no longer belonged, and now that you finally feel ready, God begins to pull you away. From people, from noise, from the rhythm that once made you feel alive. Suddenly, you're alone more than ever, and at first it feels wrong. You wonder if you've lost your way, if maybe you've been forgotten again. But what feels like separation is, in truth, sanctification. It's God bringing you closer, drawing you into a space where he can speak without competition. Isolation is not punishment, it's protection. It's the sacred space where your spirit can breathe and where distractions die. God cannot refine you in the crowd because crowds are full of voices, opinions, expectations, noise that can drown out your calling. So he pulls you away, not because you failed, but because he's preparing you to carry something greater. In the quiet, he begins to work on your identity, stripping away what's artificial, what's borrowed from others, what was built to please instead of to serve. And yes, it's uncomfortable. The silence of isolation can feel heavier than any battle. There's no applause, no validation, no clear sign of progress. You wake up each day doing the small, unseen work of faith, praying, studying, reflecting, while the world around you keeps spinning loudly. You scroll through the lives of others who seem to be advancing faster, shining brighter, and you wonder, why am I hidden? But here's the truth. What God hides, he's preparing to reveal at the right time. Think of David tending sheep while his brothers stood in the spotlight. Nobody knew his name. He was overlooked, underestimated, invisible. Yet in those quiet hills, away from the noise, God was shaping a king. The fields were his classroom, solitude was his training ground. When the moment came, he was ready. Not because he'd been celebrated, but because he'd been faithful in obscurity. The same is happening to you. In isolation, God is building strength the world can't see. He's teaching you to depend on him alone. He's breaking your need for constant approval, refining your motives, deepening your roots. Because when the spotlight finally finds you, it will test you. And only those who've been anchored in secret can stand steady in public. Isolation reveals what's real. When the noise fades, you start to hear your own thoughts clearly. You face the fears you once avoided, the insecurities you once disguised with busyness. This is not cruelty. This is cleansing. God brings you into solitude so he can show you the truth about him, about others, about yourself. It's in this quiet season that you'll finally see which relationships were genuine and which were convenient, which dreams were divine and which were distractions. Clarity is born in quietness. And though isolation can feel lonely, there's a strange beauty in it. You begin to notice the little things again, the peace of still mornings, the strength of a simple prayer, the way your heart softens when you speak to God without hurry. This is the intimacy he's been longing for. When you stop trying to be everywhere, with everyone, chasing everything, he finally has your full attention. And that's when transformation begins. My friends, do not despise this season. It's not a detour, it's preparation. Every great story has a hidden chapter where the hero disappears before the rise. Moses had 40 years in the wilderness. Joseph had years in a prison cell. Even Jesus spent time alone before his ministry began. The wilderness was not a punishment for them. It was the birthplace of their purpose. So if you feel forgotten, remember this: you're not forgotten. You're being focused. The world might not see you now, but heaven does. Your work in secret is being recorded, your faithfulness noted, your growth protected. What God develops in private, He will reveal in power. Use this time wisely. Instead of longing for the noise again, lean into the stillness. Read, pray, listen, heal. This is not wasted time, it's sacred time. The silence that once felt heavy will soon become your strength. The solitude that once felt empty will soon overflow with clarity and vision. And one day, when God decides you're ready, when the foundation has been fully laid, He will open the door. Suddenly, what once felt like obscurity will become opportunity. You'll step forward, not as who you were, but as who you were always meant to be. Stronger, wiser, grounded in purpose. So if you find yourself walking through isolation right now, don't fight it, embrace it. Because when God hides you, He's not holding you back, He's setting you apart. And when the time comes for you to step into your next chapter, you'll understand that every quiet moment was a divine investment in your future. My friends, after the silence and the isolation, something remarkable begins to happen. A stirring in your spirit unlike anything you felt before. It's not anxiety, it's not restlessness, it's hunger. A deep, unexplainable longing for more of God. A desire to draw closer, to understand His voice, to live with purpose so clear it burns through the fog of distraction. This hunger doesn't come from emotion. It's spiritual. It's the gentle pull of heaven calling you deeper, telling you that what once satisfied your soul will no longer be enough for where you're going. There comes a point in every believer's journey when comfort loses its appeal. Conversations that once entertained you now feel empty. The noise that used to fill your days starts to irritate your spirit. It's not because you've changed in a negative way. It's because you're being refined. God is shifting your appetite. He's drawing you away from the temporary and toward the eternal. You find yourself craving His presence like never before, waking up with the quiet urge to pray, to read, to sit still, and just listen. This is one of the clearest signs that God is preparing to do something new in your life. He begins by increasing your desire for Him, because what comes next will require intimacy. You cannot carry the next level of purpose on yesterday's faith. You cannot walk into a new season with an old connection. So He calls you closer. Not to burden you, but to build you. In this season, the spiritual hunger you feel is not a coincidence. It's a divine signal that God is aligning your spirit with His timing. He is preparing your heart to recognize what your eyes cannot yet see. And if you feed that hunger, if you nurture it, it will open doors that effort alone never could. Many people ignore this call. They feel the stirring, but they silence it with noise. They scroll past it, distract themselves, convince themselves that life is too busy to slow down. But that hunger is holy. It's a whisper from God saying, "Come away with me, there's something I want to show you." The people who listen to that whisper, who make room for God in the middle of their ordinary lives, those are the ones who experience extraordinary transformation. You might notice that the things you used to enjoy are losing their flavor. Entertainment that once made you laugh now feels hollow. You might even find yourself losing interest in certain people or environments, not out of pride, but because your spirit no longer fits there. This is how God prepares you, by shifting your internal landscape before He changes your external one. He changes what you crave so that when the blessing comes, you'll recognize it as His, not yours. And it's not always comfortable. Sometimes this spiritual hunger feels like ache, like something inside you is reaching for more, but you can't quite grasp it yet. But don't mistake that ache for emptiness. It's evidence of growth. God is stretching your capacity. He's expanding your spirit so that when He fills you, you won't overflow prematurely. Look back at every person God used greatly. Before the calling came, there was always hunger. Moses turned aside to look at a burning bush because curiosity pulled him closer to God's presence. David wrote psalms in lonely fields because his soul longed for communion. Even Jesus withdrew often to pray, to be alone with the Father. That longing isn't weakness, it's the seed of revelation. It's how heaven begins to prepare the human heart for divine purpose. So if you feel that hunger today, feed it. Talk to God when you wake up, not because you have to, but because you want to. Carve out moments of stillness in your day, even if it's just a few minutes of silence. Read something that nourishes your soul instead of draining it. Surround yourself with people who challenge your spirit, who remind you of who you are becoming. The deeper your hunger grows, the clearer your purpose becomes. Because God always fills what's empty, and He always responds to pursuit. Those who hunger and thirst for righteousness will be filled. Not with things, but with peace, clarity, and strength that cannot be shaken. This season of hunger is sacred, my friends. Don't rush it. Don't suppress it. Let it draw you closer. Let it quiet the noise. Let it change your priorities. Because that longing in your heart isn't there by accident. It's the first spark of transformation. God is calling you deeper, not to take you away from the world, but to prepare you to move through it with power, wisdom, and grace. And one day you'll realize that the hunger you feel now was the beginning of everything. It wasn't emptiness, it was invitation. It wasn't loss, it was calling. It was God awakening something eternal in you, something that no success, no possession, no person could ever satisfy. And once you've tasted that kind of closeness with Him, nothing else will ever compare. My friends, after the hunger comes the shift. Subtle at first, almost invisible, like the quiet turning of the tide. Things around you begin to move. People you thought would walk with you forever start to drift away. Conversations feel different, priorities change. The rhythm of your life adjusts itself without warning. It can feel confusing, even painful, but this is not chaos. This is divine reordering. When God is preparing to elevate you, He doesn't just transform your heart, He restructures your environment. You may notice that certain relationships begin to fade. People you once leaned on now seem distant. It's not anger, it's alignment. God removes what cannot go where He's taking you. Some individuals were meant only for a chapter, not for the whole story. Their presence served a purpose, to teach, to challenge, to shape you. But now their season has ended. And though your heart might ache, though you may try to hold on, you must remember, what God ends, He ends with intention. This is one of the hardest lessons to learn in a season of transition, that growth often requires separation. You can't step into a higher level while staying attached to what was. The version of you that's emerging will not fit comfortably with every part of your past. And sometimes the people who once celebrated you will no longer understand you. Not because they are bad, but because your frequency has changed. You've outgrown what once felt right. This shift also happens in opportunities. The doors you used to walk through easily may now feel closed. Not because you failed, but because you fulfilled your assignment there. God closes doors not just to protect you from harm, but to prevent you from settling for less than what's next. When a chapter ends, it's because the story is ready to move forward. You might feel tempted to resist this change, to fight to keep everyone happy, to cling to what's slipping away, to chase after what's leaving. But that only prolongs your pain. What's meant for you will never require you to beg for it. Let it go. Let the shift happen. Because behind every ending lies a divine introduction, a person, a place, an opportunity designed for your next chapter. And yes, new people will appear, often when you least expect it. They will speak life into you, see your value without competition, challenge your faith without judgment. They'll bring peace, not confusion. When God sends new connections, they feel different, light, natural, purposeful. They don't drain your energy, they multiply it. You'll know they're from Him because they push you closer to who you're meant to be, not who you used to be. These divine alignments are part of God's preparation. He is creating a support system around you that matches the weight of the blessing ahead. Not everyone can handle the light that's about to shine through you. Some people are only built for your wilderness, not your promised land. They can walk with you through pain, but they can't handle your purpose. And that's okay. Their part of your story was never meant to last forever. Think of Joseph. His brothers betrayed him, sold him, forgot him. But without their rejection, he never would have reached Egypt. And without Egypt, he never would have reached his destiny. Every separation, every shift, every betrayal moved him closer to purpose. And when he finally stood in the palace, he understood that everything that left him was part of what led him. So if your circle feels smaller, if your plans are changing, if everything familiar seems to be shifting beneath your feet, do not panic. This is not a loss, it's preparation. God is rearranging your life like a master artist, removing what doesn't belong so that the final picture will be perfect. You may not see it now, but one day you'll look back and realize that every person who left, every opportunity that ended, every plan that fell apart was necessary to make space for what truly belongs to you. There's a quote that says, "When God removes, he also replaces, but always with better." And it's true. The only reason something leaves your life is because its purpose has been completed. And once that purpose is fulfilled, you must release it with gratitude, not resentment. Thank God for the role it played and move forward with peace. This season of shifting will require courage. It will ask you to trust that you're not losing, you're evolving. It will test your ability to walk by faith and not by sight. Because when you're in the middle of transition, everything feels uncertain. But uncertainty is not danger, it's divine direction. God is building something new in you, and before he reveals it to the world, he must clear the path. So my friends, let the shift happen. Don't fight the flow. Trust the movement, even when it feels uncomfortable. You are not being pulled apart, you are being pulled forward. And when the dust settles, you will stand in a place that feels lighter, freer, more aligned than ever before. Because what's ahead of you is not random. It's intentional. Every loss has purpose, every change has meaning, and every shift is leading you closer to the life you were created to live.